Some mornings, I woke up already exhausted, not from doing too much, but from thinking too much, not about dreams, not about love, but about what will become of me. The question became a soundtrack in my head, soft, endless, and cruel. Is this the beginning or the end of everything I hoped for? And in chasing answers, I ran in circles. I watched hours turn to days, days into years, moments I could have lived, sacrificed on the altar of anxiety. I was alive, but barely present, breathing, but not really living, always looking ahead, so far ahead that I forgot to be here. Maybe I wasn't lost, maybe I was just afraid to begin. I wasted so many of my days not because nothing was possible, but because I didn't believe anything was. Because the fear of becoming nothing can paralyze you more than failure ever could. So, if you've ever stared at the ceiling, wondering what your life is turning into, this story is yours too. This isn't just about lost time, it's about learning how to find yourself inside it. I used to sit in silence, not for peace, but because I had nothing left to say to myself. I would watch the clock, hear it ticking, feel it judging me, not because I was lazy, but because I didn't know where to go. Each minute felt like a reminder that life was moving, and I wasn't. I'd scroll through photos of people smiling, building, thriving, and all I could do was wonder, when will it be my turn? Did I miss it already? I convinced myself I needed a plan, a breakthrough, a signal from the universe. But what I really needed was to admit I was scared, scared of trying and failing, scared of trying and succeeding, only to still feel empty. Time didn't betray me. I betrayed myself by thinking I had more of it, and in that thinking, I didn't live. I waited. One day became my religion. One day I'll start. One day I'll leave. One day I'll become the person I dream of being. But one day is a liar dressed as hope. It offers comfort while stealing your courage. It makes stagnation look spiritual, as if waiting is the same as becoming. I told myself I needed clarity, needed healing, needed the right moment. But truthfully, I was hiding behind delay, because action would mean accountability. You can only sit with potential for so long before it turns into regret. I wasted years thinking I needed more light before I could move forward, when all I really needed was to walk through the dark. So, to the soul still stuck in someday, know this: the life you want isn't waiting for you, it's waiting on you. It's strange how silently comparison creeps in. I wasn't jealous of them. I was ashamed of me. Ashamed that while they were building, I was doubting. While they were planting seeds, I was still pacing in circles, too uncertain to begin. I looked at others like they had a secret I missed, as if they were chosen, and I was just floating. But what I didn't see, what we never see, is that even the loudest life on the outside can still feel hollow on the inside. Still, I measured my worth with invisible rulers: age, money, followers, milestones. Comparison is the thief of not only joy, but identity. It robs you of who you might have become, if only you had stopped looking sideways. And so the days blurred together, not because I was doing nothing, but because I was doing everything except living as myself. Late at night, I would have conversations with someone I couldn't see. A voice buried inside me. It asked strange, haunting questions. Why do you feel behind? Who are you trying to become? What are you so afraid to face? It wasn't God. It wasn't the devil. It was me, the version I buried under distractions, doubt, and denial. We all have that voice, the one we silence with Netflix, scrolling food, sex, and shallow ambition. But it doesn't go away. It whispers through your sadness. It hides in your overthinking. It aches in the stillness. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is your unmet self, asking to be seen. And for the first time, I didn't run from the questions. I sat with them, not to find answers, but to make peace with the silence. Because maybe growth isn't loud. Maybe it's just the courage to sit still long enough to finally hear yourself. I remember one specific day. It wasn't extraordinary, no tragedy, no miracle, just a plain Wednesday, overcast sky. coffee gone cold beside me, but something about that day stuck. I sat on the floor of my small apartment, scrolling through old messages, old dreams I had written to myself in a journal, dreams that never saw the light, ideas that died quietly in the back of my mind. And I cried, not loud, not dramatic, just a slow, tired ache leaking from my eyes, because in that moment, I realized something brutal. I had become a stranger to the person I used to believe I'd be. I wasn't lost because I lacked talent. I was lost because I kept putting my life on hold, waiting for certainty, waiting for motivation to strike like lightning, waiting to become worthy of living fully. But the truth is, you don't become ready, you become brave. That same week, I wrote a letter, not to anyone else, but to the version of me that never showed up. Dear Almost, it began, dear almost brave, dear almost free, dear almost honest. I forgave myself for every excuse, every time I slept on my potential, every moment I let fear speak louder than desire. I told him, this ghost of myself, that I understood why he stayed small. The world is heavy, the mirror is harsh, and healing is slow. But I also told him I couldn't carry him anymore, that if I was ever going to move forward, I had to let go of who I didn't become, not with shame, but with softness, because maybe the most sacred act of reclaiming your life is not in punishing yourself for the time you lost, but in loving yourself anyway. I stood before the mirror, searching for answers in the reflection, lines on my face that weren't there before, eyes tired not from sleep, but from wondering, a heart still beating, though it felt like it had been on pause. The mirror told me I had aged. It reminded me of how long I had been waiting, but it never showed the days I spent fighting silently. It never revealed the growth hidden inside stillness. We want mirrors to show us progress, but sometimes the greatest progress is invisible. It lives in the breath you take when you finally forgive yourself, in the silence that no longer suffocates, but starts to feel sacred. The mirror didn't lie, but I had to learn to see with more than my eyes. It was a small moment. I had gone for a walk, no destination, no phone, just a need to feel something. And the sun, gentle, almost shy, broke through the gray sky and landed right on my chest. I stopped, closed my eyes, and for the first time in what felt like years, I didn't feel lost. It wasn't purpose that found me, it was presence. I wasn't who I wanted to be yet. I didn't have the answers, but I felt alive, here, now, breathing without guilt. And it hit me, maybe life isn't always about becoming. Maybe sometimes it's about returning to yourself, to the earth, to the moment that never asked you to be anything except aware. Sometimes I feel the ache of every day I didn't live fully, not just the missed opportunities, but the emotions I never let myself feel, the things I wanted to say, but silenced, the paths I wanted to walk, but feared I wasn't worthy of. Regret doesn't always scream. Sometimes it sits quietly in the chest, like a stone under still water. It's not the loud failures that haunt us, it's the quiet almosts, the people we almost became, the love we almost gave, the courage we almost claimed. I've come to understand, unlived days don't disappear. They collect in our bones, in our hesitations, in our sighs. But maybe, just maybe, regret is not a punishment. Maybe it's a sign, a compass pointing us back to what matters. I used to think transformation was this grand event, a thunderstorm of clarity, a movie scene breakthrough. But when change came, it was quiet, simple, almost too small to notice. It was me choosing to get up at sunrise, not to be productive, but to feel the world before it got noisy. It was writing one honest sentence in a notebook. It was drinking water. It was replying to a message with presence, not distraction. The revolution of the soul doesn't begin with fire. It begins with truth, and that truth wasn't glamorous. It was messy. It said, I'm not okay, but I'm here, and I still care. And that raw, imperfect, unfiltered care was the beginning of everything. I used to think happiness had to be earned, through success, recognition, the arrival of something big. But the longer I walked through my shadows, the more I began to notice. It's the smallest joys that feel the most divine. A cup of tea in silence, the way rain hums against the window, the laughter in someone's voice when they're not trying to impress, the softness in a hug you didn't know you needed. Joy doesn't demand perfection. It asked for presence. I stopped chasing euphoria and started honoring peace. Because maybe the point of life was never about constant highs. Maybe it's about noticing that the miracle isn't some far-off dream. It's already here, in breath, in being, in now. Some days, I still feel lost, but now I don't see that as failure. I see it as being human. Life doesn't move in straight lines. It spirals. Sometimes you come back to the same place, but with different eyes. And that makes all the difference. To live fully is not to always know where you're going. It's to keep choosing to show up despite not knowing. I've wasted time. I've run from myself. I've doubted every step. And still, here I am, with a heart that still wants to try, with hands that still reach toward something real, with a soul that, despite the cracks, believes there's more ahead. And that, in the quietest, most courageous way, is what it means to begin again. If you've made it this far, maybe you too have wasted days wondering what will become of your life. Maybe you've stared into the void of possibility and felt both awe and fear rise in your chest. You are not alone. We are all in some way walking contradictions, desperate to live deeply, yet afraid to take the first honest breath. And that's okay, because the goal was never perfection. The goal was always awareness. To live, not just exist. From The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. There is something within you that is always aware, always present. That part of you is not afraid. From Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. From The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Resistance will tell you anything to keep you from doing your work. It will perjure, fabricate, it will seduce you. But resistance is always lying and always full of shit. These words aren't just inspiration, they are maps. Maps out of confusion. Maps toward your next breath of truth. So, here's what I'll leave you with. You don't need to figure out your entire life today. You don't need to conquer all your fears by next week. But what if you just did one brave thing today? Write one honest sentence. Go for that walk without the noise. Say I'm not okay out loud, just once. Or maybe look yourself in the mirror and simply stay, because choosing to live fully isn't about doing it all. It's about doing something. So start right where you are. Even if your hands shake, your future is watching you, and it's whispering, I'm waiting, but I won't wait forever.